And I'll tell you this much here, what I heard from someone that's in the NFL, that the NFL told other, don't draft him. Do not draft him. We're gonna make an example out of him. And this came from a very good source, And he said that, I won't say who, somebody called the Cleveland Browns and said, don't do that. Draft him. Yep, draft him. Don't do that. Because they weren't going to draft him either. They weren't going to draft him. They were forced into drafting him because somebody made a call to them, said, you know. And I say, when I say this is a NFL side source for sure, you know. So this is not here. So look, one thing about it is, and I'll just say it, you know, they don't like when guys have brands, especially black players. You know, and that's mostly us with the brand. You know, some guys are flashy and all that kind of stuff. They don't like that. This kid, Fred, I don't think you knew this. He had already made $17 million from a car deal that he already signed. A car deal. He had $17 million already for that. Then he had another 14, I think, from a was it a shoe, Nike or some shoe deal. So he was good with money wise, but I know he wants to play in the National Football League for sure.
So how does he do that? I mean, Cleveland picked him. I find it fascinating, Eric. You're saying somebody even called the Browns and said, don't do that.
Yeah, somebody called the Browns and said.
So what was the objective? He doesn't get picked? He's an undrafted free agent?
That's exactly what's going to happen. They were going to have him, he was not going to get drafted, to basically show you this is what happens when you do this. I mean, look, you know, Fred, the NFL got all kind of power. They do all kind of stuff. You know, you know that, and I know it too. But no, they were not going to draft him. And like I said, when I said it came from a good source, it came from a very, very good source. They said they were going to draft him. I like it because when I saw it, when he went to the second one, I said, oh, I said it out loud. They're not going to draft him. They're going to make an example out of him. I knew it.
So
the guy that they drafted, the quarterback they drafted ahead of him, he wasn't as good as Shedeur. He even said it. I mean, how do you draft a guy that you know that's not better than the guy that you drafted after? That don't even make sense.
Do you think Shedeur knew they wanted to make an example out of him?
I don't think he realized to the extent that the NFL would go to make an example out of him. No, I don't think he knew that. I don't think his dad knew the extent that they would go to make an example out of him. I mean...
What's going on? Hey, look. You doing all right? You gotta let my brother have his way in the league. I'm worried about your pop. So, how you doing? What you worried about him for?
Steve Zucker in Winnetka, Illinois. A very happy Deion Sanders. The most important thing has already been decided what number he's going to wear. What number is that, Deion?
21. We had to get a 2 in there somewhere, so I think we chose unanimous decision. We're going 21.
You just said this is your mom sitting next to you. You said she's my very rich mom. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
No more sales. No more nothing now. We get a big house we always want. We get everything we want now.
It looks like you're wearing your signing bonus here. I mean, you know, and plus we have we can see the nice primetime logo already, or what?
Yeah, we got sweatsuits started, jackets started, everything. We got it going on here. Everybody got on jewelry. Even the baby got a little something. We ready now. Even the baby has jewelry.
Your feelings about going to Atlanta, no doubt it was your first preference.
Definitely. Atlanta or Tampa Bay. And Atlanta chose me, and I'm very pleased with that decision. I can't wait to get to town with Coach Campbell and get with them fans down there and pack them in there.
When Detroit took the other Sanders, I saw a big grin come across your face.
I was so happy. I was kind of scared. I thought Detroit was going to take me. I would have asked for so much money that I had to put me on layaway.
On layaway, No baseball's leverage there, huh?
No.
What did Marion Campbell, you just got off the phone with him, what did he say to you on the phone, aside just from welcome to Atlanta?
Welcome to Atlanta. He was, he laid low for the last 3 days, and he knew deep down inside it would work out, and I can't wait till I can get there, and he wants Deion and Primetime to get on that plane.
Well, you just said, tell Marion Primetime's coming to Atlanta, huh?
I want everybody at the airport. I want everybody in Atlanta there. I want a special greeting when I get there.
All right. We'll be back with Deion a little bit later. Let's now go back to Las Vegas.
Of course, a couple picks ago, Robert Massey was selected defensive back going to the New Orleans Saints. There was no question that the first defensive back chosen in this draft would be Deion Sanders. And the best thing about Deion is that he gives our show at 7 p.m. on Sundays during football season a lot of pub. This is Deion Sanders, a.k.a. Primetime, a.k.a. star athlete at just about anything. Graceful on the gridiron, crafty on the court. Debonair on the diamond. Swift as the wind. There is nothing primetime cannot do.
He may be the best athlete that I've ever been around as far as somebody who could be what we would call world class in a variety of different sports. He's totally in a class by himself.
Playground hoops is up his alley. Michael Jordan he may not be, but this he can do. And this he can do.
There's no question the guy was the best athlete I've ever seen. I've never seen a kid that could run from home to first, home to third quicker than he.
Along with his physical gifts, the competitiveness Sanders brings to every performance makes him hungry.
I expect myself to be great in a game of checkers. I expect myself to be great in a game of pool because I'm just the kind of competitor I am. I hate to be in second.
And throughout his college years, second was not very often in his vocabulary. He and the Seminoles were tops in the College World Series. He qualified for the Olympic trials in his only season of competitive track. He received a nice invitation from his favorite ball club, $60,000 for a summer. But he's following the footsteps of Bo Jackson, playing baseball and football, and he hates the comparison.
Bo Jackson plays football and baseball. He does well. Deion Sanders wants to play football and baseball and excel.
And excel in lifestyle. The primetime signature, a fast life, white hat, primetime shades, a look primetime hopes will catch on.
Endorsing. Everyone wants to endorse Deion Sanders at prime time. I want to see that on sweatsuits, on shades, on hats, shoes, everything. I wouldn't mind that. I love to see little kids walk around with prime time sweatsuits on.
And it's his antics on the field that may be what inspires little kids to be wearing primetime sweatshirts. He's flamboyant, cocky, brash. He makes sure everybody knows primetime is on the field. But primetime delivers, and he can't wait for his first NFL game.
I have never seen a NFL football game. I've seen one on television, but I never have been to a game. And I'm looking forward to my first game, walking out on that field. I love to have all the fans yelling, prime time, prime time, prime. And I'm back deep on the punt and just running all the way back or intercept the first pass thrown at me. Run all the way back, turn to the crowd and throw my arms up and just take it all in.
Situation at Mel Kiper Jr. apoplectic.
All I can say is, I think it's disgusting. I don't understand what the heck's going on with this. Fifth player on my board. It's never happened before in 47 years where a player that high has dropped this far into the fourth round. A quarterback that's sitting there in round four with other quarterbacks being taken who aren't as good as Shedeur, aren't even close, in my opinion, in terms of accuracy, toughness. Arm strength is certainly more than good enough. I don't see, outside of not being have the rocket arm and the 4.6 speed and the big frame, the 6'3", 230-pound frame, what is he lacking? Somebody's going to have to explain that one to me. Fourth round, Kirk Cousins went. Fourth round, Dak Prescott went. Worked out pretty good for them. It's just that Shedeur was projected a lot higher than they were. That's why we're having this discussion.
Insider Mike Tannenbaum to come in and explain this to us and bring some sense to it. Mike, what is your reaction to 5 quarterbacks getting drafted before Shedeur Sanders?
Ryan, I am absolutely stunned. Here's a player that started 37 games, led the nation in completion percentage. He's also incredibly tough. He was sacked 94 times over 2 seasons and only missed 1 game. He was my second quarterback on the board, very similar to Mel. I thought he was a first-round pick that could come in and start right away because of anticipation and accuracy. I cannot believe that a team in the first 3 rounds, 102 players were drafted and didn't draft Shedeur Sanders. Ryan, one of the things you have to understand is the NFL is the ultimate meritocracy. Every team has the same amount of money, every team has the same amount of draft choices, and not one team thought that Shedeur Sanders could help them win when 5 quarterbacks have already gone. I was part of the Miami Dolphins in 2016, and we drafted Larry Tunsil. He was the #1 guy on our board. Larry Tunsil was a great player, a great person. He obviously hit a bump in the road, and we saw it as an unexpected opportunity. Johnny Manziel came out, a lot of questions about his background. He won in the first round. The fact that we're sitting here talking about the 4th round is unbelievable what has happened, given the fact that this guy's been such a good player over 37 games.
And Sanders doesn't have the kind of bumps that you're mentioning with the two previous guys you mentioned. And not only that, I mean, in many ways, I say it again, this was a guy who was in the conversation to be the top pick not too long ago, and now here we are. Much more from the draft coming up ahead, including where Shedeur should land, and we reveal the team that's had the best draft through 2 days. Mike, thanks so much. I can tell you, we didn't, and barely anybody did. Not a single team selecting in the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft selecting Deion Sanders. Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year, led FBS in completion percentage, 4th in passing yards, and yet he is still out there. Just a couple months ago, he was in the conversation for the top pick. Heck, right before the draft started on Thursday, he was minus 600 to go in the first round, and he is still undrafted. NFL draft analyst Jordan Reid now joining us from Green Bay. Jordan, you had Sanders graded as your top 20 in your pre-draft rankings. So what's your quick reaction to him falling this far?
The best way to put it, Ryan, is I'm stunned. I'm absolutely floored that Shedeur Sanders is still sitting here on the board. And if you think about it, I think it's more so to do with what's happening off of the field. Now, as far as those questions, I don't know exactly what there are, but if we're just grading the player on the field, I don't see a player that should have made it out of the second round. I had him ranked as my number 19 overall player. He can help a team win football games as a starter. And some of the quarterbacks that went ahead of him, I was floored by some of the names that went ahead of him. I get it, Jackson Dart and him were seen as in a similar tier as going as the second or the third quarterback off of the board. But after that, some of the quarterbacks that went ahead of him, I'm still shocked. It's
stunning. And not only that, you talk about how quarterbacks are these days. You need 2-3 quarterbacks on your team, and he's still out there, so somebody's going to get him. Now,
I have never seen anything in my almost 50 years of covering the National Football League like what the National Football League just did to Shedeur Sanders. Again, I first guessed all of this. I said before last college football season that Shedeur should go number 1 overall, 1-2, or with Travis Hunter 2-1, depending on whether the team drafting first needed a quarterback.
Because we're going to get started with the story that made headlines all over, all the sports networks overnight, and then some. And that was the NFL draft and the precipitous slide of quarterback Shedeur Sanders, son of primetime Deion Sanders, who many considered the second best quarterback in January. Sanders was just picked by the Cleveland Browns as the 144th selection of the 5th round overall. Shedeur wasn't drafted in round 1 on Thursday. He wasn't drafted on Friday during rounds 2 and 3, and teams passed on him again earlier this afternoon in round 4. So here's a look at all the quarterbacks that have been taken so far. Cam Ward went number 1 overall at Tennessee. Then the Giants picked Jackson Dart with the 25th overall pick, a pick they moved up to get, by the way. They moved up to get that pick. Round 2 began last night, and the first quarterback taken was Tyler Shuck, who went to the New Orleans Saints with the 40th overall pick. Then in round 3 to Seattle, the Seahawks took Jalen Milroe from Alabama with the 92nd overall pick. And then 2 picks later, the Cleveland Browns selected Dillon Gabriel with the 94th overall pick in the 3rd round, and there were no more quarterbacks taken on Friday. So those are the 5 quarterbacks that went ahead of Shedeur Sanders. And before I give you my feelings on this, I want to show you the 5 quarterbacks the Browns now have on their roster. The quarterback room now includes Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, the aforementioned Dillon Gabriel, Deshaun Watson, who is injured with his Achilles tear, and of course now Shedeur Sanders. Ladies and gentlemen, you know it's bad when the President of the United States, Donald Trump, is pushing out tweets about how corrupt it is. I mean, think about that. President Donald Trump is pulling out tweets about how corrupt it is and how these owners look absolutely stupid or ill-advised. And I don't know about y'all, but I want y'all to listen before I get into it to my man Mel Kiper Jr. of ESPN, who is going off about Shedeur Sanders being snubbed because he had Sanders as arguably the best quarterback in this draft.
Has been clueless for 50 years when it comes to evaluating quarterback. clueless. No idea what they're doing in terms of evaluating quarterback. That's proof. There's proof of that.
How many
they say we know exactly what we're talking about with quarterback?
But if you're the National Football League, okay, clearly it's not about talent anymore. It's about something else. And I'm going to tell you, I spent a large amount of the last 24 hours thinking about nothing more than I was thinking about collusion. Because how in the hell does 32 teams in the National Football League pass on a quarterback that was universally recognized one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the country entering this draft, and 32 teams passed on him? Not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 different times they passed on him. How the hell does that happen? 4 rounds. It doesn't happen to a quarterback. We've never seen anything like this before. We've seen guys drop because of injuries. We've seen guys drop because of off-field issues, but we've never seen a quarterback projected to be a top 20 pick, universally recognized one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the draft, projected to be a first rounder, in all likelihood a safe bet of a late first rounder, and drop literally to the 5th round. We haven't seen anything like that. And when you're talking about the owners, I'm gonna keep in mind, and I tweeted about this, seems very Kaepernick-like, as in Colin Kaepernick. Shedeur Sanders with the watch. Shedeur Sanders with his bravado. Shedeur Sanders with this supposed arrogance or whatever. He's still bald. He still threw for over 4,100 yards. Still threw for 37 touchdowns. Still threw for just 10 interceptions. Still proved himself to be one of the better quarterbacks in football. Tremendous pause, pocket presence, accuracy, throwing the damn football. Didn't have great wheels. Doesn't have great athleticism, but the brother can play. I certainly never heard of no damn Dylan Gabriel or Tyler Shock. What the hell is that? I didn't hear about them. So how is Shedeur Sanders going behind them? I'll tell you how. It's collusion. And why do I bring up Kaepernick? Because I keep reminding everybody that the owners, I'll never forget this as long as I live. The owners in the National Football League are very big on control. And Colin Kaepernick's position really railed them. It really riled them, irritated them, because even though they received a check for over $246 million a piece because of their TV rights deal, they were mad it wasn't $250 to $255. They blamed Colin Kaepernick. They said he compromised their bottom line. That's what they said. They got a check for $246 million a piece and was still complaining about the $5 million they missed out on because of him. In their estimation, no proof of that, just speculating that was Colin Kaepernick. So if these are who they are, if these are the kind of people that they are, this is where Deion Sanders' hands get a little bit dirty. Because we know he's the greatest cornerback that ever lived. We know he's arguably the greatest athlete we've ever seen. We know that the man is a football savant. We also know that he's box office. The camera, the lens, it gravitates to him. He has that kind of magnetic effect. And because he let you know that he believed in his son, because he let you know what his son could do, because he let you know that he damn sure was gonna keep an eye on things and he was gonna have a voice in the proceedings, because he alluded to, if I don't like where my son is, that's not where we're going and stuff like that. It's entirely plausible that the owners were like, who the hell do you think he is? You don't run this shop, we do. Because these owners are like that. But ultimately, we got to get to Shedeur Sanders himself. Because I spoke to some executives, giving me some background, because they didn't like some of the things that they were seeing. And when they talked about it, they said stuff like him sending out tweets tagged with #legendary. They talked about him appearing to have more of an interest in his own brand, and that he thinks about that more than he thinks about the team or the league. They talked about if he was more buttoned up and all about ball and team as opposed to himself, he would have fallen no later than number 21 in the draft to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Instead, he fell to 144, and they call it a minimum of a $30 million mistake. That's what they said. They also pointed out how it was the perfect year to come out in the quarterback class because it's the lightest, weakest quarterback class in a long time. So a late 1 pick could easily turn into a top 10 because of position and need. But that didn't happen with him because of his bravado, his brand, his swagger, etc.
Shedeur was a great teammate in the huddle, you know. Shedeur was a great teammate in the huddle, you know. If you ain't know something, he'll help you out. If you need help with something off field, he'll help you out. And like watching film and stuff like that, he could break film down with you and everything.
You know you gotta do that. What's up? Good to my phone, man. Good to my phone.
Years, 4-time Pro Bowler. Patriots Hall of Fame joining us. You know, you're tied to Robert Kraft in New England. You're in the Patriots Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I did, Colin. I thought he was first round talent. I don't know the guy. I still, it's sort of a mystery to me why he fell as far as he did. But when I watch him, he's accurate. He throws with anticipation. You know, there's a quarterback thing that I always look for if I'm watching quarterbacks. You know, the ones that are successful, you can almost see the future, right? You have to be able to anticipate. You have to throw guys open. If you wait to see a guy open, especially as you rise to the NFL level, then you're behind and you're just not going to be successful. And I've watched that happen with some quarterbacks that had really big arm talent, but they had to wait to see somebody open before they throw the ball. Shedeur seems to be able to anticipate well. I liked watching him play in college. Again, he didn't have a ton, of help up front. He was getting hit. It's another thing that I look for. You know, I'm always kind of suspicious when you see some of these, not always, but some of these quarterbacks that come out of the great programs, the Ohio States and Alabamas of the world, because, they're out there. Their guys are better than the other guys. They're not getting hit. They're throwing to open guys. Most guys should be able to do that. But when you watch a guy that's getting hit repeatedly and still popping up and making the plays for you, that's something that is a quality that's hard to learn if you can learn it. And he got his ass knocked off in college and still continued to battle and play well. So, so I believe he's going to have some success, at some point, whether it's this year, next year, whenever that happens.
Yeah, I will tell you, when I watched Jared Goff at Cal, never got hurt, and he got blistered for 3 or 4 years. And I was like, I don't know if he's any good, but that skinny kid never gets hurt. Some guys just bounce back. Eli Manning never got hurt. It's just the way it works.
Yeah, no, the best ability is availability, right? That's what the old saying, and it's not just the durability piece, but it's the mental toughness of knowing that you're going to get hit the next play, but still standing in there and delivering the ball and doing that over and over again. That's a hard thing to learn. It really is a hard thing to learn. I don't know if you can learn it, and Shedeur seems to have that ability to take his hits and keep battling.
Coach, when we here in Cleveland are talking about quarterbacks, seems to always be on the mind. We have somebody in town that I drew a comparison to Tim Tebow about, and that was because of the fan base they brought with them that transcended football, and that's Shedeur Sanders. And not comparing the way they play, but what they come with. They have a brand. Tim Tebow had a brand. Obviously, you coached Tim Tebow. What are you seeing with Shedeur Sanders? And do you think Shedeur Sanders has what it takes to be a starting NFL quarterback?
I loved watching him. We covered at Big Noon. We covered him. We were there for Deion's, I think, first 3 games, and he turned around a program that was a train wreck. And you don't do that without Shedeur Sanders. I got to go behind the scenes and watch his coach or his father and coach. And, a lot of times we all get uncomfortable with maybe the flash and the posse and the watches, et cetera, but I know what I saw. I saw a player that can get out of trouble, lead a team, has really all the skill set to be successful. He took just a god-awful program and they turned it around. And so I think there's a lot of substance there. The issue that I remember Tim had, and a GM told me this one time, is that if you're a backup quarterback, and whether you bring it on yourself or it's just because Tim tried not to bring it on himself, it just happened. As a backup quarterback, they don't want all the media attention on that one player. All coaches want, team, no distraction. So I'm not there in Cleveland. But if you're asking the question, can he do it? I don't think there's any doubt he can do it. You know, it all depends on what's around him. But if you're talking about a skill set, great leadership, a quality person that I really enjoyed watching, I'm a Shedeur Sanders fan.
You and Jim Harbaugh kind of...
thru and grew, finally gets selected by the Cleveland Browns, number 144 overall in the 5th round. And when we saw him drop, it wasn't surprising, I guess, that he got out of the 1st round, but I can't sit here and tell you that it wasn't surprising to me that he went all the way in the 5th. I thought the 2nd round would be where he would go, and what a statement from the league and the general managers and the owners that, 1, they didn't think he was very good on the field, and 2, they didn't like the way he was carrying himself to the point that he didn't even go in the first 2 days of the draft, the prank call on top of it. I mean, this was as brutal as it got for Shedeur and his family on the biggest stage of all.
Yeah, I mean, you and I were not surprised that he was falling because we knew about him falling a couple weeks earlier, and we were talking about Tyler Shuck, if you remember, and how he was rising up the board.
Yeah.
Now, Tyler Shuck basically was the 2nd quarterback drafted. Actually 3rd quarterback drafted after Jackson Dart and Cam Ward. But, Shedeur Sanders just torpedoed himself. His attitude off the field, all those bad meetings that he had at the combine. His dad didn't help him either. He was on podcast talking about, this is my son. If I can get him to where I want to get him to, I'm going to do that. And trying to, in somehow, way, shape, or form, comparing it to the Manning family, by the way, which is insane. But, when you listen to this kid talk right prior or at the combine about if you want a new culture in your locker room, I'm the guy to do that. I can turn it around. I mean, he's very high on himself. And I think he was very off-putting to many, many coaches and general managers in the league. And I'm telling you right now, and I know this after talking to 3 different personnel people in the NFL this weekend, they didn't even have him on their board. They took him off, and they took him off because the owner said, take him off. I don't want that guy. I don't want this kind of person in our entitled person on our team. And I don't blame him. I mean, when you listen to the way that he was talking about himself, some of the actions that you have seen on the field in terms of his interaction with other players, building his own draft room, legendary, having all this crap hanging off. I mean, this is basically a wake-up call to, I think, a lot of these athletes. And by the way, he wasn't the only one who fell. The other one who fell was Quinn Ewers from Texas.
Yeah.
Another big nil athlete, played at a big school, played in, playoff games, and was thought to be like the second coming. And, he fell as well, and fell really hard. So it wasn't just Shedeur that fell. Quinn Ewers fell right along with him.
Yeah, and there's no doubt that some of the things that you mentioned as far as the meetings, and there was a detailed Giants meeting where I guess, Brian Daboll didn't believe that he was prepared for it and then called him out on it. Then Shedeur's response back to Brian Daboll wasn't great. And then Daboll at that point, according to the report, was really down on him from that point on. There's no doubt that played a part in it. But we have seen so many guys that have had things hanging around them, whether it's a bad attitude or whether they got themselves in trouble somewhere along the line or whatever it may be. And if an NFL team believes that guy can play, they still draft him high. I mean, he might drop a little bit in the draft, down maybe the back end of the 1st round or 2nd round, whatever it may be, but it won't be the 5th round.
And could he have gone to a better place than the Cleveland Browns with the disasters that they've had at quarterbacks in their history?
I mean, it's funny. The Deion and Shedeur went from potentially forcing their way out of Cleveland in their minds at the top of this draft to being thrilled that the Cleveland Browns took him in the 5th round. Think about that.
But here's the other thing. The guy I feel bad for? I feel bad for Dylan Gabriel. They drafted him ahead of Shedeur Sanders. And maybe this is the plan that Cleveland had all along. We're going to draft 2 quarterbacks, and we're going to try to create the ultimate competition to try to get the best out of Shedeur Sanders. Maybe they do believe that Shedeur Sanders was worth a higher pick, but now they're going to take him here and put him in a really highly competitive situation to see whether or not he's going to be able to, fight through this and become the player that he thinks he is. But remember, his dad is basically coached him in high school, coached him at Jackson State, coached him at Colorado, and now he's got to go out and be a man on his own. And, this is going to be a test. This is going to be a real test for him. And hopefully he does have a chip on the shoulder, but
I am worn out from watching the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft. Pick after pick after pick, starting with the 2nd overall pick. I was on the edge of my seat waiting for his name to be called because he is him. He is he. He is it. He should have gone 1st overall. And the NFL should be ashamed of itself for what it has now done over 3 rounds of the draft to Shedeur Sanders. I'm worn out because I'm so sickened and I'm so saddened over what this league just did to this kid and in turn to his father. I've been doing this for a long time. You can look at my track record on the draft. I'm pretty good, especially at the quarterbacks, at picking the quarterbacks. I would have taken Shedeur Sanders 1st overall, and I dug in on this before the college football season even started. I would have taken him 2nd overall if I were the Cleveland Browns. I definitely would have taken him 3rd overall if I were the New York Football Giants. It was outrageously obvious that he's the best thrower of the football in the draft. He's the best pure passer in the draft. He's the toughest college quarterback I have ever witnessed. Over and over, watched every snap he took for 2 years at Colorado. The most deadly accurate thrower of the football in all of college football has not been drafted over 3 rounds. The clutchest quarterback I saw in all of college football, again and again and again, has not been drafted for 3 effing rounds of the draft. Why is that? Is it about football or is it personal? The NFL should be ashamed because I don't know what you want to call this. Shedeur and his father got blackballed, or if you want to call it whiteballed, call it whiteballed. Whatever it was, they got balled out. They got voted out. It's like a secret memo was distributed. Don't take him. Let's teach him a lesson. Let's teach Deion a lesson. You can't act like that. It's got to be personal because it cannot be about football. If we're just doing football, and my friend Mel Kiper has been doing this almost as long as I have. If we're doing football, Mel Kiper, who's no fool, had Shedeur Sanders ranked 5th overall on his big board, 1 notch ahead of Cam Ward. I had him 1st. So if it's not football, what is it? Are there racial undertones here? Racist undertones? You be the judge. Racism is so hard to sort of grasp and prove, but it just stinks. It smells of racist undertones, of too many white people in charge in this league who just roll their eyes at both father and son at Colorado. I think it's personal because I think they said, we're going to teach Deion a lesson because you can't have a DJ in the locker room before games and at halftime. I think they said, let's teach the father a lesson that you can't let the kid make $3 million a year in college football and drive 3 or 4 different exotic cars and drape himself with all kinds of NFL-style high-pick jewelry, superstar jewelry. You can't let him tap his watch. It's my time. Hey, I'm here to tell you, none of that matters. If you can play, you can play. Neon Deion was as brash and arrogant as you could get. But he worked hard at his craft, and he was the greatest cornerback ever, and he backed it up. Nobody ever backed up brash and arrogant more than Deion Sanders backed it up. on the football field, on the baseball field at the highest level, on the track and field at the highest level. Greatest athlete I ever saw was Deion Sanders. Deion is not a detriment to his son. He is an all-time positive. Greatness flows through this kid's veins. He's it. He's a winner. He's a leader. If you spend any time around, he's really a good young man. I don't understand any of this. He didn't interview. Is he confident? Yeah. Is he cocky? I don't know. How do you, where's that fine line between confident and cocky? Can he back it up? You better believe he can back it up. He was raised around greatness, and he will step onto an NFL field wherever he goes, wherever it is. He's going to go somewhere. Somebody's going to give him some shot. Wherever he goes, he's going to step on the football field like he belongs on it, because he was raised to believe he belongs on it. As he tweeted going into the draft, I'm built for this, for whatever happens, great or bad, I'm built. He was built for this. Again, I can't go, it's obviously not a black quarterback issue, because we're way past that. Now black quarterbacks aren't just the norm, they're it, man. Everybody wants a black quarterback. Cam Ward went first overall. Jalen Milroe went, what was he, the third quarterback pick. So it's not a black quarterback issue, it's a Deion Shedeur issue. And there are racist undertones to it. Too many white people in charge are just saying, no, we don't do it that way, Deion. We don't raise our quarterbacks that way to do those things. He was raised to be a pocket passer, a pro pocket passer, because that's what he does. And if you think he's some spoiled brat diva, just put on the tape. Watch him get sacked more than anybody in college football the last 2 years. The first year because he had a terrible offensive line. The second year because he had a slightly better offensive line, but he just tried to do too much to win football games for the father he loves with all of his heart and soul. He knows he held the ball too long occasionally at Colorado, but all he did was lead the nation in completion percentage. All he did was make clutch throw after clutch throw. All he did was run for many key first downs on call plays, on read options, on quarterback draws, and on scrambles. He's really good rolling out, throwing the football. Born to be a pocket passer. Plays bigger than his measurements, 6'1.5", 212. Just plays bigger, always looked bigger, carries himself bigger. There's nothing not to like about him. The arm strength is Brady-esque. It's, to me, above average. Got no problem throwing the deepest deep ball. No problem putting a little mustard on the toughest out routes to throw. I don't know. There's nothing not to like. It's just personal against Deion and Shedeur. We don't do it that way. And you can't tell me that a lot of these white decision makers, maybe black decision, I'll make this colorblind, that they're afraid of Deion. They're afraid that Deion's going to come and coach his kid, that he's going to take over their franchise, he's going to take the coach's job, he's going to take an executive's job, he's going to run the franchise. He's the best interview in sports. I love the man. I love what he's made of. You know, Deion Sanders has God in his heart. And I don't know Shedeur, but I'm pretty sure he's got God in his heart because he was raised to have God in his heart by mom and dad. So this is high quality, high character, big, strong football backbone. It's everything you could want, and yet this league is built on sheep think. They're all running scared because a lot of them just don't know nothing. A lot of blind fools out there running these drafts. Seriously, I've been doing this for almost 50 years. I've known so many idiots running these drafts. You look back at their picks and you say, what were you thinking? I could have done better than that. And so they run like sheep. It's sheepthink. And if, wait a second, Tennessee never even considered Shedeur? Wait, Cleveland never said a peep about Shedeur Sanders? Wait, the Giants, they passed him twice. They had 2 shots, and they said no twice to Shedeur Sanders? Well, then we can't say yes. We'd look like fools, right? And then the deeper the problem here is, because he is the son of that man, that the deeper you get into the draft after we go through 3 rounds, now teams are going to be scared to death to take Shedeur because of the onslaught of scrutiny, the explosive, magnified scrutiny that's going to be on this kid and your organization over why did he fall so far? And obviously, he's become the biggest story in the history of the NFL draft in a bad way. And so the attention focused on him is going to be so enormous, just so overwhelming, that now teams are going to say, I don't want to do that. I don't want that. Leave me alone. We don't want that distraction. Now Shedeur's become the all-time distraction because they all banded together and did this to him, and now nobody's going to break ranks. Listen, I tweeted about this because I don't know. I'm shocked tonight. I sat on the edge of my seat because Cleveland had 2 picks in the first 4 in the second round, and I just thought, I was texting with my brother Lil Wayne. We were both shocked about, obviously, last night. Nothing happened. He knows Shedeur better than I do, and he thought he should have gone first to Tennessee also. But we're like, well, now what? And Wayne texted me back. He was in Green Bay last night, and he said, well, he's going to Cleveland because they got 2 shots. No. And then Pittsburgh didn't have, obviously, a second-round pick, but they had a third-round pick, and so Adam Schefter's, before the draft even started tonight, the second round and third round, but before the second, Adam Schefter, who knows his stuff, he said, well, it feels like the floor tonight could be 83. Pittsburgh comes back into the draft at 83. No, I can't even remember who they took, but they obviously didn't take Shedeur. Tom Brady's team. Tom Brady, who reportedly had impact inside the franchise. He had decision-making responsibility in their draft room. Supposedly mentored and coached Shedeur all the way up. The Raiders passed on him. My Dallas Cowboys, I was just begging Jerry, just take him. You can just have him on your back burner for 2 years. Just let Dak play it out. And then you've got your Super Bowl in sight. Because Shedeur is going to be way better than Dak ever thought about being. Shedeur has guts. Shedeur has big game, big play capability that Dak Prescott does not have. Trust me, I'm on record. All these teams that passed him, they're all going to be ashamed and regret it ultimately, and they're going to get shamed ultimately. And I love what Deion said. When it gets this ludicrous, then it's a God thing. Then God has a plan for him, and he's going to work. God is in mysterious ways.
Story out of the draft was obviously, biggest story out of the draft was obviously Shedeur Sanders sliding to the 5th round. Many people projected him to be a first round. Some people had him like top 10 picks, right?
In some of these mock drafts, he was high up there now.
Well, he's selected by the Cleveland Browns, or Brownies.
I love this for Cleveland. God, I love this for Cleveland. I really do, man. The Browns fan deep down in my heart is just like, yeah. You get a swag champ that works his ass off, that has something to prove now. You know, not that he didn't before, but you know, he's got that chip on his shoulder. I'm sure because of how much he's dropped, and yeah. And
how could you not?
Yeah.
If you're at all a self-confident person who believes in themselves and you're touted by a lot of people and you had the college career that he had, how could you not be upset that you fell this far? You know what I mean? Still should be happy you're in the NFL, but I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks that are taken above him. There's a quarterback that the Browns selected above him. Who was the quarterback? Dylan Gabriel was selected in the 3rd round. A lot of anonymous reports prior to the draft that his team interviews went poorly. What do you think, Trav? Why do you think Shedeur Sanders?
I think whoever's the fucking anonymous person that's fucking saying this should fucking come out and say who they were. And
say it with your chest.
Like, what the fuck is that about? Like, if you're gonna fucking leak that type of shit, fucking be the one that says that, yeah, it just didn't go well for us. You know, don't fucking say that we're anonymous. You know, that's so fucking lame. Like, I don't know. I just feel like there's no validity to it. I'm not sure why he dropped. I'm not sure, you know, whether it was the interviews or whether it was stuff that they saw on film. What I saw on film, I thought he was a way higher pick. And I think that's all that should matter. And I mean, it doesn't seem like he's a terrible person. You know, it seems like he's just a motivated football player that is a part of a big football family. And him and his father have kind of taken over the NCAA football for the past 3 to 4 years. And whether that's something that NFL teams, quote unquote, didn't want to deal with, I feel like this is going to be such a fresh start for him. And now it's going to feel, I can see him working his ass off and becoming the starting quarterback in Cleveland at some point, for sure.
Personally, I think a lot of these interviews went poorly, or the off the field antics between Deion and whatever media stuff Shedeur's got going on. I think all that is getting blown way out of proportion as a factor for this. Yeah. I think the reality is, to me, and the way I look at it, is it's hard to find a great quarterback in this league. If these teams really felt that Shedeur Sanders was a top 1st round talent, they would have picked him. That's what I think. I think if you mean to tell me if Michael Vick had these same exact off-field things happening, or if he was Michael Vick's exact talent, he wouldn't have been taken in the 1st round? Of course he would have. Teams said on draft day they don't think Shedeur Sanders' potential warrants being drafted that high at the next level. Okay, now for whatever reason that is, I don't know why that is. I don't even barely watch Shedeur Sanders, but I ain't gonna sit here and tell you that, like, there's too many players with character issues, with concerns every year coming out about criminal behavior, off-field antics, and other things that get drafted in the 1st round. And they get drafted in the 1st round because they are ballers and the NFL wants great players. The fact that he got drafted at 144 in the 5th round tells me that maybe these off-field things mattered a little bit, but the bottom line is teams just do not think the potential of Shedeur Sanders panning out the next level is high enough to warrant an earlier pick. And teams get this wrong all the time. They got it wrong with Brock Purdy. They got it wrong with Tom Brady. This is not like an exact science. And I hope and I'm happy Shedeur Sanders is going to get an opportunity to go to Cleveland, because clearly Cleveland wants to replace their starting quarterback. They picked 2 of them in the draft. So now you're going to get him, a competitive person, motivated to prove a bunch of motherfuckers wrong up in Cleveland, Ohio, on a team that clearly wants a new quarterback.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they wouldn't have taken Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round and then picked another one in the 5th.
And when it comes to the potential of a player, I think, I think the higher up you go is you're ready now. It might not be that the potential isn't there, that you will one day be ready. I think
there's just more questions. There's more questions of what's the maximum potential. Where is this player at currently? There's a ton of opportunity and potential that the kid has. And there's been tons of players that have been drafted in the later rounds who teams have questions about that end up panning out. And a lot of that comes down to the intangibles. A lot of that comes down to, does he just have this it factor? Everybody, and that's what everybody's kind of waiting to see. Like, at the end of the day, he's been successful everywhere he's been. He's had throwing accuracy. Like, none of that stuff teams can avoid accepting. But they will find all these other little things to say, like, he doesn't have this, he doesn't have that. There's guys like Tim Tebow had a lot of stuff in college too, and he didn't pan out in the NFL. I'm like, they're looking to find these little things that cause them to have concern about why you might not pan out the next level. Yeah. And all I'm saying is, if this kid is the dog and the motivated individual, he's got a lot of attributes that lead themselves to being great at the next level.
Yeah.
And he's in a situation now that, he's going to get a chance to compete.
All right now.
Yeah.
Shedeur, hit us up if you need any food recommendations out there in Cleveland, big dog. And good luck. Good luck becoming the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, brother.
I'm rooting for him. I fucking hope. I mean, talk about a great story.
Are you kidding me? How can you not root for the guy right now?
I hope he makes it and he brings all of the people that he brought to him to the meetings to the contract that he signs after he fucking leads him to some playoff game. You know what I mean? Like, I hope this just happens in the biggest fuck you to everybody around there questioning that side of things. But anyways,
let's fucking go.
Travis Kelce also famously slid from character concerns. Arguably was the best tight end on tape. So Shedeur, look no further. This could be you.
That's Jason Kelce. Character concerns fell all the way to the 6th round.
Character concerns and size concerns.
Franchise quarterback in the draft this year. What have you seen out of Shedeur Sanders? Do you like his game? Do you think he is a franchise quarterback? What do you make of Shedeur, Troy?
I do think he's a franchise quarterback. I love his game. I've obviously been watching him for a number of years. I know his father intimately well, and wish him the best, of course, as well. So what Shedeur's been able to do has been remarkable. To start first going back to when he was young before he went off to college, but success has followed him. It's not a surprise for anyone who's followed Deion's career and what he's done as a coach as well. So I'm excited for Colorado. I'm excited for Shedeur, and really looking forward to seeing what he might do at the NFL level. My expectation is that he's going to have a hell of a career.
Last football question, I promise. Troy said Deion said I put down the kickstand in Colorado. I don't know if there's everyone believes that. I think a lot of people still, maybe just because they like talking about these scenarios. Deion in Dallas, is that just something that would say, hey, Deion was a great Cowboy. We don't want to complicate things with bringing him in as a coach, or could you actually see him being a potential head coach?
Yeah, I could see it. First of all, if Deion were to get hired, whether it's in Dallas or anywhere in the NFL, he gets hired because he's a good football coach, first and foremost. But secondly, I do know that Jerry, he's a world-class marketer. Deion obviously is, not far behind that. No. And I think if you were to put the two together, it'd be quite interesting. I think there's some compelling reasons as to why Jerry might have an interest. But I do know that, Deion's done a great job there in Boulder. And I think when he says, hey, I've put the kickstand down, that's simply alerting everyone that if you want him, you're going to have to pay for it. So, which is not a surprise either. So I do think that Deion could be enticed, especially with his son then moving on and going to the NFL.
Right. The kickstand, they go up pretty easily, right? They give him a little kick.
They're not welded to the ground, you can raise them.
I think Cam Ward's probably the most talented of all the quarterbacks, and I think that's one of the reasons why he's targeted to go first, because of his talent. And he's got a really good arm. He's also very mobile, and that's something you need to be in the league today. You need to have both of those qualities, and he possesses both of those. He's had a brilliant career at Miami and was a Heisman Trophy finalist. So, he's a guy that I think most teams covet as the number one quarterback. Shedeur Sanders, there's so much talk about him. You just don't know which way teams are looking at him. Some teams like his personality. Probably some teams are a little bit turned off, because he comes across as being arrogant a little bit sometimes, I guess. But he's just a very confident kid, and who his father is, and his father's a very confident guy as well. So I'm sure a lot of that rubs off from that relationship. And then Jackson Dart is a guy who had tremendous success in the SEC. He threw for over 20 touchdown passes 3 years in a row. No other quarterback has done that in the SEC. So he's a guy that has really moved up the boards here, later in the draft process, just by the way he's carried himself, by the way he he did a great job in his pro day and things like that. So those three guys are probably the three that are going to go first.
Warren, talking about
Yeah. You good? You good? Yeah. That's that moment. You don't play music? Yeah. They got it. Turn it on.
Wow.
So I thought it was an interesting mix. That's a little bit different now with Cam Ward and his ability to play.
They want to see the shot. They want you. Hey, about 100
Sanders is going to be a good quarterback in the National Football League. And I think I'll tell you what, this narrative that built up about Shedeur, this process, that's what I dislike about it. So let's do
Oh my God. Can I touch it? Oh my God. Oh, this is crazy. So if you don't want that one, you can just get it. You go.
Hey, you see, they say I ain't giving. What that 50,000 wow, 60,000 wow, 70,000 wow on her neck, yeah.
You see it. You see it. I'm not looking like you, but like, I mean, it's a little slow.
Definitely, legendary. We got the family, we got the friends in here. Let me just appreciate you. If you need some inspiration, you know I got you. Hey, I got it because I know he got his new contract. I don't know what he's talking about. You look good, son. You good? You ready? Who got me that? Yeah? We have a little time after you. About what? This is it. You can't be no more. No, of course. Of course. No, I know. One of them. I'd be mad if I went somewhere and I can't play my own music, bro. I don't listen to nobody else's music besides the family, bro. I was trying to find. You got that in Paris? No, they just sent it to me. Versace, yeah. I thought you got it on the Paris movie. Where's bro? I need my chain, bro. Be happy for you tonight. Yeah. Whenever I go. Shit, I don't know when. You're gonna go to the best place. Yeah. How you doing? I'm on the feet right here. My day is probably gonna be Saturday, but we're gonna enjoy this movie. Who's about to get my chain? Hey, Darius. No. What's the move, man?
CEO headache gang. CEO headache gang.
Too crazy. We got no shaking. Oh, it's in reverse though. Because it's in presence is good shaking. There's too much going on. DJ Double J. He said, big things today. Things happen for a reason. I was like, hope to see you soon. The journey leading up to this prepared me for this moment. through adversity, through everything I went through, just going from high school to Jackson State. Similar, you know. And going from Jackson State to Colorado, they said we couldn't do it. So they counted us out, but we was able to establish our brand of football at Colorado, and it's now. So, you know, life is just a circle. It just recycles all the time. But I understand, you know, when it's my time, my opportunity, what I'm gonna do with it.
What's the team getting when they draft Shedeur Sanders?
Team's getting a determined player, somebody that's ready to change the franchise as soon as possible. You know, so that's the goal for me. Sitting here waiting. The main thing is knowing what task I have ahead when I do get picked and maximizing my moment.
Once you do get that call and you know where you're going, how does the mindset change?
I feel like the mindset been that. That's the expectation is to get drafted. We did everything we could in college. Where, I don't know, but we knew it was going to happen, like, since I just started playing.
When it's all said and done, what legacy do you want to leave in the game?
When it's all said and done, I don't know yet. I ain't there yet.
We just waiting, man. We waiting. It is what it is. We just waiting for that call. But you know, God is good. God is in control of everything. So there's no worry. We just waiting for that call. But you know, God is good. God is in control of everything. So there's no worry. There's no fear. There's no trembling. We ain't crying. It ain't no sorrow. Ain't no sadness. It is what it is.
I don't even know how to answer. Hello?
You got that call, my boy.
What's going on?
Way to go!
Say it one more time for me.
Mickey Loomis here, James of the Saints.
How you doing?
Good, how are you, man?
Good, been waiting on you.
Way to go! Yeah, we have. It's been a long wait, man.
No, for sure.
We're gonna take you with our next pick right here, man.
Yeah, yes, sir. Let's be legendary.
Yeah, but you're gonna have to wait a little bit longer, man.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Way to go!
What does that mean?
What? What did he say?
I don't know.
How you gonna ask us what it means and you was on the phone?
You heard that?
You said you're gonna have to wait a little bit longer.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Why would I don't know what that was. It's 50-50. But nobody got this number though.
That was weird. Who has that number?
Nobody. It's a private number.
What did he say?
Nah, nobody has his number though. I said nobody has his phone number. This the new number.
Did they just troll, bro? I think man, he just got trolled, bro. They tripping now, fam. Now I'm gonna crash out, bro.
No, they ain't pick nobody. Where that ball at? What's up?
This for real.
Yeah. Who'd they get? That's them playing. Bro, you know what that is. You got the phone? Who got that number? You turn the music on, let's turn up. It said, this is a gym for the Saints. We're gonna pick you. I said, hello, what you say? It's a private number. Nobody has a number but the league on this. They emailed the number. Daniel's like, yeah, I said, ready. I've been waiting on you. Then after that, that's when they was like, we're not gonna take you, you're gonna have to wait some more.
Why would they call then? Like, what's the point of that?
Yeah, it's a mockery. That's all it is.
Yeah, that at this point, bro.
That's all it is a mockery. Only the NFL has that number. 100%. Because this thing, even if it's a random thing, that is not in my name. How would you even get that number? You don't even get that number. It ain't in my name. I just got the phone yesterday. But that's what, it's just like, all right, cuz. Like, all right, it's getting a little. But it been that. It's just the principle of it. Alright, so we did this yesterday.
You know what I'm saying?
It's supposed to happen, man. I'm telling you, this is supposed to happen.
funny when he's lost for words, cause I know what's going on. But it's funny because he never comes to a conclusion. Nah, he never does. He's gonna be the last one to ever say that. I like to have hope, but I like to watch church. Hey, God ain't this ain't God. This the devil. But this is just disrespectful now. I'm telling you, Vegas is finna pick.
No, they not. They haven't even called you.
Stop. I talked to him this morning.
Today is the day. Let's see if two brothers get drafted the same day.
Giving us dollars and dollars, man.
Guess what? That dollars ain't gonna prove you great. Money will come.
Where he's just going to run by people. So they moved him inside, they moved him outside. But what he does is he plays smart. Scheme recognition is his thing. Hat hand flicking is his thing. Being where he needs to be.
This is sick work, bro. Shut up late, and I'm still here.
My name is Carl.
I'm telling you now, bro. I'm telling you now, if Cleveland don't get me right here, because this is sick, bro. Hey, this is rigged. If they don't get me right here, it's rigged, bro. They're in the draft room? He's still there? Alright. Hey, you heard what they said, Boogie? She said Cleveland. She said this the last player on Cleveland board that they finna get. Then they're gonna try to trade it back into the fifth. No, back into the fourth. No.
The same birthday as my
I'm about my business now, bro. You doing all this to get picked for it to be like, alright. I'm going in there like stuff from J State.
You calling us?
I know it's been a long weekend. We're gonna take you off before you, right?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Hey, listen. You gotta come in. You gotta work hard. You gotta earn your job, earn your keep. And it doesn't matter what you're taking. It no service. We spent a lot of time with you. You're a good kid. Let's get ready to go to work and prove all the people pass on the rock.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, I got coach here, man.
Yes, sir. I'm excited to see you.
Remember, I told you the Lord works in mysterious ways, right?
Nah, for sure. Let's do it. I'm gonna see you soon.
I know. It's an opportunity. We're gonna get to work together, okay, buddy?
Yes, sir. Love.
Congratulations. I'm gonna pass you on to.
It's on.
Remember, there's no service. They still on the phone.
Is it on up there?
What's that?
What does that mean? Of course.
Hey, so keep your phone handy, okay? Jared's gonna reach out to you and for some like details and everything. So keep your phone on you and then we'll be in touch soon about next steps and everything, okay?
Alright. For sure. Is Mr. Barry there?
He is. You want to talk to him again?
Yeah, I would love to talk to him.
Beautiful thing. Hey, shallow stream on up there?
Yes.
Yeah, we started.
Turn up.
It's a good time. Can't be sad no more.
Heisman Trophy.
In the 2025 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Shedeur.
Quarterback in this draft, that's not you.
Shedeur Sanders.
So at the end of the day, this whole process, we thought me and him were going to be 1 and 2 the whole time. Whether he's 1, I'm 2. Whether I'm 1, he's 2. And so that's just always been, our mindset. It didn't go that way. I thought he was one of the better quarterbacks in the draft as well, even throughout college. A lot of stuff out there on him ain't really, the truth, just because they spin it different ways, like they spin stuff about me different ways. But I mean, when he gets his chance, become a starter, I know he's gonna make the most of it, and I'm ready to get back to work with him. After the season, talk some more stuff to him, say some crazy stuff. I mean, we just gonna keep on pushing each other.
Consistency, that's what he lacks. Consistency, that's what he lacks.
5 with a hit. So after, right since the training shit, it's like been to college forever. I mean, I've been on that range. I went to Colorado. I'm fucking Pete today, and I'm 2 points. I like this right here. Another side. Keep that different. Just to know.
Louis Riddick, I'm going to be straight up and down with you because you know how much I revere you. I completely disagree with you with what you're saying, and I'm disappointed in what you didn't say. You can say whatever you want to the audience out there, to these idiotic trolls all over social media talking about, Shedeur Sanders wasn't that great or whatever. There is no one, I repeat, no one that looked at Shedeur Sanders and even had him less than the 3rd best quarterback in the draft. This is a quarterback-driven league. This guy was considered one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the draft, and 143 picks came and went before you heard his name. Don't talk to me about football. I don't want to hear a damn thing about football. This ain't about football. This is about something else. And I said that even though it's different, I brought up the name Colin Kaepernick, that no owner in the National Football League wanted to touch him. We can use the word collusion. It ain't necessary. They think alike in a lot of different situations. They don't have to collude with one another. There's a universal understanding that this is our league. And we want to do what we want to do the way that we want to do it. And we'll be damned if anybody's going to tell us what to do, because guess what? We running the show. And people going to come. They're going to flock to the stadium. They're going to have their tailgate parties. We going to win in the ratings. We going to make damn near $250 million a piece as an owner. Ain't a damn thing anybody's going to do about it. We understood that years ago. But suddenly we going to engage in collective amnesia here. Hold on, Molly. Rather than ask that question about the inordinate amount of talent those guys have, how about asking the question, it's deeper than me that it's in the 5th round? Because he's not a 5th round. That is a precipitous drop. And so to me, him falling to the 5th round, it's like you're sending a message collectively as a
It was not a shock within the NFL and team buildings when Shedeur Sanders did not go in the 1st round. I would fairly tell you it is a surprise that he is still on the board at the start of day 3. Philosophically, some teams feel like if you are drafting at the quarterback position specifically, if you think you got a starter, you take him in round 1. If you're drafting somebody to be your backup, you don't want to do that until day 3. I spoke last night with one general manager who is considering taking Shedeur Sanders today. He pointed back all the way to March 2024 and something that Shedeur's father, Deion Sanders, said on a podcast talking about both Shedeur and Travis Hunter, saying that if they are drafted by a team that they don't want to go to, he's going to step in and pull an Eli, meaning force those players to not actually go to that team and try to get them traded. Throughout the pre-draft process, Shedeur Sanders very much proceeded as if he was dictating to clubs where he was going to go rather than how the draft works, which is the other way around. And there were a bunch of opportunities missed at the various checkpoints through that pre-draft process. Go all the way back to All-Star season. Instead of going to the Senior Bowl, he went to the East-West Shrine Bowl in his backyard in Dallas. Despite an NFL memo saying if you go to these All-Star games, you have to practice, Shedeur chose not to. At the Combine, it is now well documented some of his formal interviews did not go well. One assistant coach told me in all his years, it was the worst formal interview he'd ever been through. People said that Shedeur was trying to dictate how he wanted things to go and made them feel small. Even at the Pro Day, the entire Big 12 had an event in Dallas. Shedeur was there, but did not work out. He had a showcase instead in Colorado. All of which is to say, for a player who had a variety of questions both about the talent level, how he would fit into an NFL system, how he would adjust from his play style in college, but also about the potential culture shock of, for the first time, playing for someone who is not his father, There were opportunities that Shedeur Sanders could have taken there. He seemed to feel as if he was in an elite category where he could choose the few teams he wanted to go to. Now some of those very same teams that might be considering taking Shedeur today didn't get those opportunities to answer their question.
What teams want on these visits, and we can debate whether they should, but what they want is to hear a player that is coachable, that is willing to accept information, that is willing to adapt when they're being asked to adapt. He didn't communicate that on a lot of these visits. Again, we could debate this, but I'm just telling you that that's what these teams got, and that's what Tom is communicating here as well. Okay, so landing spots today potentially for Shedeur Sanders, without outing that GM that told you he's thinking about taking him.
Well, there's a couple of the obvious teams, Mike, that did have Shedeur Sanders in on visits. The Las Vegas Raiders are one. They signed traded for Geno Smith from Seattle in the offseason, signed him to a new contract. Geno is their starter, but Tom Brady, who is a minority owner for the Raiders, heavily involved in football operations, has been a mentor to Shedeur Sanders. And once you get into fourth round type of value, that could be something that interests the Raiders, if for no other reason than to bring in Shedeur, allow him to develop a player that one scout told me is projecting like a Geno Smith with maybe just a little bit less arm. The Steelers are another team that do not yet have their quarterback answer. That visit, from everything I've understood, went well between Shedeur Sanders and in particular Mike Tomlin, a guy who Shedeur told us on the Insiders reminds him a lot of his dad in terms of their values and their approach to football. You also now, again, because you're in day 3, have to start thinking about some teams that do not have obvious quarterback needs. Again, because GMs are looking at the board, and there may be somewhere Shedeur Sanders is the outlier right now. Think about a team like, just throwing one out, the Philadelphia Eagles. They want to be a quarterback factory. Howie Roseman likes to draft one every year, Mike. They're comfortable. They're coming off a Super Bowl win. They've got Jalen Hurts. Nobody thinks Shedeur is coming in and challenging for the job. Maybe a team like that could come out of the darkness and stop Shedeur Sanders from sliding any further.
Accurate quarterback, I thought, in this draft. When he sets his feet, when he's comfortable in the pocket, and he delivers the football, the ball goes where he wants it to go. And, this was a quarterback that was asked to have to win football games for his team. I don't think that can be overstated, is that, you go to a team, it's a really good team, and you become a complementary piece. Yeah, your stats might be a little bit better. Your win-loss record might be a little bit better. But to be asked to win games for your team, to have to go out there and throw the ball every single week for your team to be successful, and that's with, an offensive line that struggled over the last couple of years. I think there was a lot to like about Shedeur Sanders. Improvement, and I'm a guy that always says it. All of these guys coming out of the draft this year, I believe, must improve if they're going to be really good or great quarterbacks at the NFL level. So it's not just Shedeur. All of them have to get better in certain areas. But I believe there's the most accurate quarterback, I thought.
I knew early on when he started playing quarterback, he was special. We called him grown because he'd always had the nature of an adult. He's always seen things that others couldn't see at his age. He's always been a real professional type young man that got it. The work ethic, the verbiage, the articulation to your teammates, taking control of the huddle back then, even in youth. He was checking off at 7 years old, changing plays that I didn't even have to. Like, you knew.
How early did you see?
All my folks out there, right? I just want y'all to know that when you're a black man in America, right, sometimes you get reminders. You know what I mean? As a successful black man in America, I often get reminders. And in the Shedeur Sanders situation, this is just a reminder that you can do everything right in life. You can come from a good family. You could be a good student. You could be a God-fearing kid. You could be a hard worker. You could beat the odds. Your dad could be a Hall of Fame player, and you can beat the odds because not too many Hall of Fame players have good kids. So you can beat the odds. You can beat, he ain't his daddy. You can beat all of that growing up. But you still get a reminder that you just a nigga, man. That's it. You just a nigga. We sitting here looking at a public execution going on right in front of our eyes. Where it's like, we just gotta remind you that you just a nigga. There's no other way to look at it. There's a lot of black analysts on TV, but they gotta keep it corporate. They can't say what it is. They can't. They got to keep it cool. I just think this unbelievable. It's just no. Sometimes, as a black man in America, you get reminded that you just a nigga. Don't matter how much work you put in. Don't matter. None of that don't matter. You got to understand. I arrived at a hotel in Boston, right? And I get to the front desk and I say, is there any way I could get a suite? And this lady look at me and she say, I'm sorry. She didn't press one button. She says, I'm sorry, it's no suites in the building. They're all sold out. As she's saying it, a white man is walking out the back and she say, Gilly, oh man, I love you. Man, I love what you do for the community, man. You're a great guy, man. She hand me my room key. I get up to my floor. When the elevator opened, the white guy's on my floor. And he says, Gilly, I don't know why she told you there's no suites available. Every suite in the building is open, Gilly. Come back downstairs, man. We're going to put you in a suite. But it was just a reminder that you just a nigga. That lady looked at me and said, there's no suites. Before I make this hotel thousands of dollars, I would rather your black ass not be in a suite. So in life, you get reminded sometimes that you just a nigga. No matter how much work you put in, how much good you do, no, you just a nigga.
Generational talent. I'm approving, right? Nah, you generational, I'm legendary. That's cool. You can be legendary. Legendary get the generational is once every 100 years. Whoa. I'm tired of them comparisons, bro. They don't make no comparison to me. I'm in my own category. Why would you think I care what they say? You do though. You ain't been crucified yet. Your time is coming. They said I quit on my team when I did it. Say I'm generational talent. I'm approving, right?
I never got the inclination that he was unprepared. If the one thing that he was going to be is prepared. His father prepared him. He understands his dad, although he didn't play quarterback, he understood what comes along with playing the quarterback.
Right.
I love the way he's answered that question.
Listen, he's answering the questions perfectly. And the funny thing about it, I got a couple of young bulls out there. I talked to Denzel Ward. I talked to some, but I didn't say the name. But anyway, I done talked to some people. He looked different. There's a difference when that young bull is out there spinning that ball. You hear me? Mm-hmm. Difference. I'm talking about football. I ain't talking about no media and all that hoopla and all them, on Twitter, they putting up the numbers. He was 10 for 12 for 2 touchdowns. I'm talking about when he's at the helm, he looks different. Whether he's going with the first team, second team, or third team. It don't matter. I understand getting drafted in the 5th round. All that means nothing when it's time to play football and that whistle blows. He looks different than the rest of the competition. That's what I heard. And I'm talking from not Brother Ward. I'm just talking about from sources that's in that room, that's on that field, that's playing the sport. Man, come on, man. I tell you.
This is something that I can relate to.
Yeah.
You can't relate to this. You a 2nd round draft pick, so you probably at worst case scenario, you was running with the 2s as soon as you step foot in the camp.
I was on special.
But it's somebody that was a 7th round draft pick and that was with the 3rd, 4th, 5th team, the last guy to get a rep. Some days, Ocho, I get 1 rep.
What?
I get 1 rep. That's all I got.
Serious?
That's it.
Oh, boy. I would have cut up. Boy, you got me, man. Shit.
I just.
I've been traveling all around, I spent about 200 G's. That's a light, that's a real like me. Bro, just doing me a favor. Yeah. Girl, I know you love me, but you know I can't date you. Yeah. You know I'm a risk.
Yeah, well, it's so special just act like you making adjustments. Chance to honor the great players, some great teams for this past season.
Nah, I ain't. It ain't time.
Give me time to hold that. No, you good. Young goat.
Hey, Mr. Sanders.
Well up forever, baby. Well up forever.
Nice to meet you.
Sam, pleasure to meet you.
Lovely to meet you. Hi.
You already know. All right.
Hi, guys.
How you doing, boss?
I thought I was well dressed. Let me tell you something. John Tatum, Janusco Sports, Shedeur. It seemed like only yesterday we were together. Coach, hey, you're the best. Seriously, yeah.
Right, we'll get you with JT.
All right.
Just keep an eye out.
Come on,
We're
family pick. Come on, get in there. All right. Well, y'all won the credit.
Hello, my darling. I heard about the birthday. Tomorrow.
Oh, sorry, did you write there?
Okay, I heard they brought you your money cake, but it wasn't real money. Was it stacks?
No, it wasn't real.
Okay, all right. We accept all stacks.
Every time looking fashionable, man. What was going through your mind when you did this outfit tonight?
We're gonna do us. We'll send it. We'll do the expectation.
What's that song? Yeah. I wasn't thinking about that.
At another point early in the second round, and then here it comes in the fifth round finally. Shedeur Sanders, Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year, set a Colorado record with 37 touchdown passes. Helped revitalize that Colorado program along with Travis Hunter. And in this draft process, he's been most unusual. Started at Jackson State, playing for Deion Sanders at the FCS level, then transferred up.
You think about Colorado, he didn't have an offensive line in 2023, and then this past year, really both years, not much of a running game at all. Okay, guys like Murray and Hampton and Ashton Jeanty had more rushing yards in a game and a half than their top rusher did all year. But you look at the accurate, precise passing. One thing to be accurate, another to be precise. Shedeur Sanders is. When he's getting pressured, he has that feel, and he will take a little off, and he will layer throws. A lot of college quarterbacks don't do that. He already gets that element of playing quarterback, which you will have to be in the NFL. The deep ball accuracy, he showed it at the Combine, he showed it at Colorado, he showed it at Jackson State. The ability to slip and slide. Yeah, he's not going to run a 4.6, but within the pocket, just give the kid a fighting chance. And Colorado rarely did when he had an opportunity. You saw this strike there to Will Shepard. Again, there were games like Oregon where he had no shot. Here he avoided the initial pass rusher. He rolled right, he made a throw. This fact he's just out there just talking he's not athletic is a bunch of BS. It's not true. This kid can avoid, he can move, and he can make throws against his body like this. Key play against Baylor in that football game, Lou. I don't get it. I know you don't, but here we are in the fifth round, Cleveland Browns. Get a guy who should have been, in my opinion, a first-round pick, a high first-round pick. And you look at the sliders, right? The guys that have slid. The NFL gets it. They know everything. No, they don't, because the guys that have slid have done really well. Geno got into the second round. He's doing pretty well, right? Jimmy Clausen, Brady Quinn didn't. But then there's Aaron Rodgers. Chad Pennington went 18. Brett Favre, second round. Boomer Esiason, second round. Dan Marino, late first round, and now you have a situation with Shedeur dropping to the fifth round. Tom Brady, everybody said, okay, he was a sixth round pick. When Tom Brady was drafted, there was a quarterback that went 18th. That was Chad Pennington. A quarterback went in the third round. That was Giovanni Farmazzi from Hopkins. When Tom Brady got there, what did he tell Robert Kraft? They told him, hey, you're our sixth round pick. He said, yeah, you're the best decision your organization ever made than me, right? So we're talking about, are you confident, cocky? Are you arrogant or are you charismatic? There's that fine line there. I think there's a lot of perception isn't reality in regards to Shedeur and Deion. Deion's not going to interfere. Deion's not going to be calling the coach. Deion's not going to be commenting about Shedeur while he's at Colorado. Lou, I think there's a lot of just fake news out there surrounding the Sanders family and Shedeur and Deion.
Yeah, look, if you get out of your feelings, and I'm saying people who have feelings about Shedeur Sanders and just subjectively evaluate him as a quarterback, it's hard not to like what he can do. a lot of mental horsepower. Talk to Pat Shermer out there in Boulder, his offensive coordinator. Full field reads, the ability to really decipher pre-snap and then adjust post-snap, put the ball where it needs to be put. He's got that. This nonsense about the fact that he's not a good athlete, he's just an average athlete. This is just one play where he is able to buy time. He doesn't have a strong arm. That's nonsense too. He can put the ball wherever it needs to be put at the NFL level, all 3 levels, across the field, drive it in the tight windows. He's got a lot going for him from a physical skills perspective and how he plays the quarterback position. This whole situation transcended how he plays the position and really became about, do you like him as a person or not? And that's why he's here in the 5th round, getting drafted to the same team after Dillon Gabriel.
They've started 40 quarterbacks, more than anybody in the NFL, I think, since 1999 or so. And look, he slid for sure. Maybe there are lessons he needed to learn from this, and perhaps he has. But now we say this every year. It matters more about what you do after your pick than it does where you're picked. So now the opportunity is for Shedeur Sanders to win the job. He can win the job. Absolutely. Now, there are other places he could have gone this late when he was sliding, and maybe he could not have. That might not have been the right position for him. But I think there are lessons to be learned on both sides. I mean, clearly something happened that made NFL teams not want to do it. So now, what can he take from that? He can take his opportunity now, become a starter early in his career, which is probably closer to something that they had envisioned all along. They just didn't envision having to wait until the 5th round for it to start.
Absolutely, but when I was asked pre-draft, hey, what's the best fit for Shedeur Sanders? I said the Cleveland Browns. Now, I thought it was going to be a pick 2,
sure,
or is it trade back into round 1? But he is an ideal fit for Kevin Stefanski's offense. They have some weapons in the passing game with Jerry Jeudy. They added Harold Fannin to go with David Njoku. They've drafted a couple running backs. He can live in that play-action offense. That's what he did best in Colorado. What are his elite traits? Accuracy and toughness. That translates anywhere. So the slide is a little bit ridiculous. I'm with you guys. I don't know exactly what caused it, but this is a good situation for him. Take a minute, be upset that you fell in the draft, but I think now you attack this opportunity and prove everyone wrong.
And now as we flip it onto the other side of this equation with the Cleveland Browns, and what were they motivated to do at this pick? 144th overall after previously drafting Dillon Gabriel at the end of the 3rd. Let's look at the opportunity cost right now for Cleveland. The 144th pick in the draft last year with Austin Booker from the Bears. He signed a 4-year, $4.4 million contract. As far as a quarterback is concerned, that's nothing in the NFL. So for them, they have an opportunity to try and develop a player who they were out there in Boulder. Lewis and I were there. They were taking an up-close and personal look at Shedeur Sanders, did plenty of homework on him. I don't think anybody would sit here and tell you the tape for Shedeur Sanders was anything close to a round 5 player. Good enough traits to work with. You have an opportunity for him to compete. And while I would say right now, Joe Flacco is the most likely week 1 starter for the Cleveland Browns, it is not like Joe Flacco's standing should be considered cemented for the entirety of the season. It's open season right now in Cleveland, Lewis.
And you know what? And look, Andrew Berry, the general manager, he may be playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. Because I'll tell you what, look at the quarterbacks that he has on this roster now. Between Joe Flacco, starting ability. Kenny Pickett has started in 1 game. Dillon Gabriel, there's people who would like Dillon Gabriel's skill set, myself included. Shedeur Sanders, you got 4 guys that maybe have starting caliber quarterbacks in the NFL. You think there aren't going to be some teams who need some quarterbacks? One of the best times to pick a quarterback, Andy Reid used to tell us this all the time in Philadelphia. The best time to pick a quarterback is when you don't need one. Yeah. They are stockpiled right now. Andrew Berry's going to be sitting back this summer as teams are scrambling around because every quarterback situation always ebbs and flows. And people are going to be going, hey, Andrew, and he's going to be going, talk to me. What do you need? I got 4 of them. Oh, that's right. And you know what? They will sort themselves out. Shedeur Sanders right now, just go to work. Just keep your mouth shut, go to work. And let the cream rise to the top. And Andrew Berry, you may have made one of the smartest moves in the draft right here.
What kind of growth can this force Shedeur Sanders into? Because you remember when Deion Sanders went to Jackson State, Shedeur was a quarterback. He went to Colorado, had the team meetings out there. Our quarterback's coming. Now he has to go in and win the quarterback job. What can that do for him? Whether he does it this year, next year, whenever.
You know what? I think for Shedeur, his competitive character is going to be put on full display now. What exactly are you made of? Are you going to be someone now who, just like I said, just zips it and goes to work and really dives into the details and really taps into Kevin Stefanski and really allows him to help take your game to the next level? I would assume that's what he's going to do. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall with some of the conversations he has had with his father over the past 48 hours about what it's now going to take in order for you to reclaim the status that you thought you already had as far as how people valued you, where now people have already spoken. The NFL has spoken in terms of what value they were willing to put on you at this point in time. And whether that he's going to use that to really fuel the fire, to really go to work and really, like you're talking about, address every single aspect of his game and kind of reassess himself as well as far as how am I coming off to people? How are people perceiving me? Do I need to make some changes in that way too and get to where I ultimately believe I should get to, which is a franchise caliber starting quarterback on a winning team and playing meaningful football in the months of January and February.
You know, I mean, look, what he did at Colorado, really, I mean, you got to understand, this was a moribund program. When Deion got there, he and Travis Hunter, they didn't have a lot. I know they didn't win championships, but man, they won some. They became relevant. It was largely because of those two guys. And Shedeur had a terrific couple of seasons, particularly this most recent one, and now the opportunity in Cleveland. Adam Schefter, Peter Schrager with us now. Led the Browns. What are you guys hearing that led the Browns to go ahead and make this move on Shedeur?
Well, Reese, I think in the pre-draft buildup, a lot was made of how many times the Giants met with Shedeur Sanders and how often they met with him. The Browns did their work too. They met with him at length at the Shrine Game, East-West. Then at the Combine, they met with him.
Hey, big fan.
Yeah.
How you feeling?
Good.
You're tough. You're getting excited right now. And then like talking shit. I respect that you like that you're tough.
Yeah, I indulge in that type of activity.
You're a dog, dude. Come on, dude. Hey, big fan.
Yeah.
How you feeling?
Good. You're definitely interesting.
Thank you, dude.
I definitely got to come on your set one time.
We would love to. Hey, can't wait to watch where you go, where you head to. You're the man.
It'll be legendary, man. It'll be legendary.
Hey, you know what? We've not talked about. You're tough.
I like that.
Thank you. Yeah, I have to. Hey, you're tough. You're getting your ass beat extended right now, and then like talking shit about it. I respect that you like that you're tough.
Yeah, I indulge in that type of activity.
You're a dog, dude. Come on, dude. All right, good luck. It's been fun to watch.
I'll see you soon.
Changing the entire university.
Change fire, bro.
Come on, man.
Hey,
some yards. I enjoyed in the interview afterwards.
This was legendary, you know.
He hilarious, by the way. There's like 4 or 5 hilarious lines in there where it's just like one after another. He goes, just HBCU kid, that's the most yards I've ever had. Mm-hmm. He literally, that's like the best game I've ever had in my entire life. I mean, I just killed this team worse than anybody. We all knew that at Jackson State last year, he was phenomenal. Big fan. Unbelievable. Right. And then he moves over to Colorado, and there's some sports books that had him immediately in the Heisman watch, but then a lot of the old school college football people were like, not going to be able to do it, not going to be able to do it. He's your son, though. He's your son. So if you weren't coaching him or playing somewhere else, I think there's a lot of us that would be like, this is Deion Sanders' son. Mm-hmm. We should at least show a little bit of respect that he's been there, done that his whole life. He's got a chance to learn it all. What do you see in Shedeur that makes you think like, hey, this guy is going to be a dude forever? And also, why is he so fucking good? He was clinical, bro. He threw one ball out of bounds, and then he dropped one in a bucket. He's clinical. He's clinical.
He's been checking off and calling his own plays and changing plays at the line since he was 6 years old. Like Shedeur, the first thing I taught him was defenses, and he played both ways and strong as well. So he understands defenses and the movement, and he understands when the blitz is coming. Like he understands. He's rock steady. He's right there on the line. Never gets too high, never gets too low.
Because if you drop Shedeur, and I don't want to say this to Will Howard because I like Will Howard, Shedeur on like Georgia, or you put Shedeur on Alabama, or you put Shedeur on Ole Miss, or you put Shedeur on any of these teams that, you know, him, his dad, and his crew had to build base. They had to build, at 2 schools. They had to build and create. So there's going to be some holes, obviously. Now, granted, they have a lot of talent and skill, but the offensive line at 1 year and then next year and everything like that. So I could see why you would say it'd be a hard read, because it's like the guy seemingly makes plays. The guy was able to rebuild 2 different programs. The guy has the it factor. He's used to his spotlight. But it's like, will he be a guy that'll be able to adjust to an NFL game? I think yes, just strictly because of the relationship. But I could see how NFL teams and you are like, we don't really know what's because you can always play the game. If this person was on this team, what would happen? But you don't actually get to see it though. You know, so then it's like, is he making the right decisions in those moments? Because some of the decisions that he's making are out of desperation. Like you say, he's running for his life.
Yes.
Fascinating on what it is.
Yeah, and I would tell you, a guy that I've comped him to is Tua. You know, and so you mentioned the Alabama. If you put him on there, I don't think he's got as much anticipation as Tua. Tua has, you know, one anticipation, but there's nothing about Tua's game that physically is like, oh my goodness, outside of the things that matter, you know, the ball placement, the in rhythm, you know, the layering of throws. I say this all the time. Shedeur consistently makes the right throw, not make.
I had several of those conversations with teams about like, all right, how was the meeting? Wasn't great. Like, all right, why? And it's like, well, you know, just didn't come off great. And I'm like, all right, what does that mean? You know, probably nothing. It's like, I spent a lot of time trying to figure, I'm not just talking about Shedeur. This happens with a lot of different prospects and a lot of different things. Like, these guys are picked apart like never before or since ever. It's only the draft are these things picked apart to this level. And it's very challenging. It sucks in a lot of ways. But teams are making multi-million-dollar investments, so like it's on them to find out everything you can. But like all the things that were discussed publicly in Tom's article and other places are all the stuff that were being discussed privately as well. And like one thing about Shedeur that I keep coming back to is like, you know, Deion is awesome, great player, great dude, was a very excellent colleague, worked with him for a long time, and every interaction with him has been great. And honestly, all my interactions with Shedeur, of which there have been several, like, have been really good. Like, me too. I told you,
I like to say that.
Told you that story when we FaceTime. Like, he spent plenty of time talking to my kids on FaceTime. Like, seems like an awesome guy. The advice he got, I don't think was good.
Yeah, I wonder if he thought it was confidence he was showing. You know, that's why I wish that report would have came out a little earlier. You know, so then maybe we can correct course a little bit, and maybe there's a chance to call him and say, "Hey, I did not mean to come across that way." But instead, we're sitting on stories. We're sitting on stories. I didn't know this is what you journalists do. It's unbelievable. So maybe this is a great learning lesson too for this entire process. And once again, in building, anything can happen as long as you're in there.
Core thing is like yes, there were some players who fell. There were some players who, like, you know, D-Butt mentioned Will Johnson. I mean, that's a pretty good example of a guy who is super talented and just based on the way he plays should absolutely have been like a middle first-round pick. The knee injury, you know, which has the potential to significantly sort of limit his career, that played a part. Now, it doesn't have to. Miles Jack had a similar thing, and he played 7 years, which is a great career. Everyone would be happy with a 7-year career. But teams didn't feel like they could take the risk until, you know, the second round, and that's why he fell. The Shedeur thing is different. Like, I have a lot of conversations leading up to the draft. I talk to every team. I get a lot of intel. I feel like I prepare myself for every freaking thing that could possibly happen. Like, that is what I do for the month before the draft. I spend the entire time on the phone. And it never crossed my mind that Shedeur Sanders could be a 5th-round pick. It was not in the realm of possibility. So, like, to me, all-time draft stories, like, this is one of them.
Yeah, I think so. 5th round is a crazy drop.
Journey from FAU, you went over to Colorado.
Yeah.
And Deion Sanders, he posted all of you guys the other day. He was like, right.
We doing it.
Definitely showing out.
Yeah.
So if comes across to me like anyone who plays for him is like family for him. So speak about having that opportunity to play for Coach Sanders and what his influence has been on your career.
Man, it was a blessing coming to play with Coach Prime. You know, you see it. I seen it when I was at FAU. I'm like, man, I want to be a part of that. Like, just having a head coach with that type of swag, that type of player mentality, like, they gonna have to come in here and beat us. Like, he didn't change for nobody. Just his position just changed, and I think that intrigued me and brought me in more.
Right.
And wanted me to be a part of that, just because he led them. Like, he led the whole university, and he pushed me day in and day out. Like, he tested me as a man, as a player, everything. So it was great playing with him. That's my dog. That's my dog. Right. I mean, at the end of the day, we had our ups and downs, but that's my dog, man.
And that's what anybody.
Literally.
And speaking of which, he kind of dropped a bomb on everyone about his health, but thank goodness he's on the up and up. Have you had any conversations with him since then, and just speak a little bit on that?
Nah, I haven't had no conversation with him since then. I've just been praying for him. God doing his thing like he always do with him. You see, back on his feet, back better, and hopefully, Lord's willing, he stay healthy.
Now, speaking of showing out, you said the Colorado boys are showing out, and they are.
Yes, Lord.
Shedeur was one of those. You got Travis Hunter over with the Jags, Jimmy Horn Jr. with Carolina. So when it comes to Shedeur, what do you want people to know about him? Because I feel like he's a little misunderstood sometimes.
He's very misunderstood. I just want everybody to know, like, he's probably one of the hardest working people that I know. Funny guy, great leader. And he's the type of player that change the organization. On and off the field. Like, he do a lot of charity stuff in the community.
We've seen that.
And he work hard. Like, he bring everybody together. Like, I don't know what more else you would want out of quarterback than a person who make plays, lead, and is good on and off the field. I mean, kind of hard to beat somebody like that. And he got that swagger to him, so.
Total package.
Yeah, total package, for sure.
All right, LeJohntay, well, preseason.
He's obviously going to play with a chip on his shoulder. He's obviously going to be driven to prove this league wrong, which I love because it is so wrong. The NFL just looks so bad, so shamefully bad. But in the end, I promise you, I feel very strongly about this. The ultimate winner is still going to be the son of Deion Sanders. Remember I said it, book it. And you, NFL, should be so ashamed of yourself.
It makes perfect damn sense if he's drafted in the second round. It's the fact that he fell to fifth that's alarming. So in other words, you're willing to collectively send that kind of message, and don't act like it wasn't a collective effort. For all we know, teams collectively, meaning owners, had come to the conclusion nobody's going to touch them in the first 4 rounds. All right, now that the round 5 is here, our message has been sent, so y'all could go about the business of sort of lifting the embargo, for lack of a better phraseology. I don't know what the hell happened. All I know is this: it's freaking unfair. It ain't right. I understand that Shedeur Sanders is a kid and may have some things to learn. I understand that you have to move a little bit with a little bit more discretion. That you don't want to stick out your chest and bloviate about who you are, who your daddy is, and et cetera, et cetera. I get that part. I understand that. But the kid doesn't get in any trouble. He can ball, and he's healthy. And there were numerous teams from Cleveland to New York to New Orleans to Pittsburgh to LA and various other places who needed quarterbacks. And you're going to tell me you don't take this kid until the 5th round? You're going to tell me that you're going to take a Dylan Gabriel and a Tyler Shook before him? You're going to tell me that? But we want to pride ourselves on being a league of merit? To the National Football League, I'm not talking about Roger Goodell in the league office, to the owners, do you have any idea how bad you look? Do you understand that you've given credence to arguments against you involving collusion and stuff like that, more so than ever before? Do you realize what you've done? Because his talent is not a 5th round talent. There's absolutely positively no excuse for waiting until the 5th round to take a quarterback who can play better than most quarterbacks available in the draft with the number of teams needing a quarterback. Y'all did this. And I just think it's sad that it happened. Shiloh and Shedeur were dancing after he got picked by the Browns. That was a good video to see. Go to Twitter to check out their draft celebration dance. All of that's good. And I'm glad that it hasn't shattered his spirits. And to be quite honest with you, Shedeur Sanders should be able to go into Cleveland. I mean, there's Joe Flacco there and Kenny Pickett. I think that's a job you could potentially win. But my Lord, for him to have to go through that is so wrong. And I know it's not just the owners, it's team executives, and they're micromanaging every little thing and looking at your attitude. It can't be about you. It can't be about team. How about it being about production? How about that? How about it being about a brother that knows he can play, that knows he comes from a pristine pedigree? And me personally, no matter what folks want to say about Shedeur Sanders, he's a young adult. Chill out. What really bothers me is that I think a lot of this was because of Deion Sanders. I think a lot of this was about a message to his father. I think a lot of this was about, hey, you'll never run this. This is us. We ain't even hire you as a coach in the National Football League. What makes you think you gonna have that kind of say? Oh, by the way, we draft your son, and then all of a sudden we gonna hear noise turning around on how you want to coach the team eventually. We don't need that kind of problem. Yeah, that's one of the things that people could point to. Let me tell y'all what I think the other is. A complete and utter lack of appreciation for what primetime Deion Sanders has done for the game of football. Primetime Deion Sanders had more swag, more bravado than anybody you could ever imagine. What else he do? All the brother did was go out there and perform at a very, very elite level, bring pizzazz and sizzle to your product, helping it grow into this multi-billion-dollar brand. Has a great relationship with the commissioner, has a great relationship with a bevy of players and coaches in the National Football League, knows the sport backwards and forwards. And because of his swag and his bravado or whatever, y'all gonna turn against him. How about y'all should have drafted Shedeur Sanders earlier because of that alone? I'm not talking about at the expense of his skill. I know he's got to have skill. That's not what I mean. I'm saying rather than look at all of those things as a negative, how about looking at it as a positive? You got a primetime Deion Sanders. His son is going to be motivated to perform at a higher level. He is all about performing at a higher level. He would be in his son's ear, imploring him to listen to his coaches, imploring him to play better, imploring him to be dedicated and focused and on point. Did you ever think about that? Of course not. Because, ladies and gentlemen, as times change, they remain the same.
Extra. This shit is hard.
Young kid, privileged to be raised by a father who's universally recognized as one of the greatest athletes the world has ever seen, and a champion, by the way. He's still black. We don't like his brashness. We don't like his absence of humility. We got to teach him a lesson because we got to make sure he understands under all circumstances we still run this. We're the bosses, and we can put our foot on your neck any damn time we want to. That's what happened to Shedeur Sanders and Deion Sanders over the last few days, spanning 5 rounds and 143 picks. That's what happened. It was a check hook. Stay in your lane. Know your position. This is the National Football League. You ain't running a damn thing this way. You will be humble. You will conduct yourself with humility. Nothing is given to you. Everything is earned. And even then, we'll decide whether we want to give it to you or not. That's how they treated Shedeur Sanders. And I find it very, very difficult to believe that the people who would do that would feel the need to have the energy to do this to a kid straight out of college. That kind of energy, that kind of message, that insatiable appetite to send and cement that kind of imprint on this young man has to be, at least to some degree, about his father. And let me tell y'all something about Deion Sanders real quick. He is confident as hell, supremely so. There's very little you could tell him because the brother is smart, he's studied, he's learned, and he's sincere with what comes out of his mouth. But I'm gonna tell y'all something about Deion Sanders real quick. For the moment, I don't give a damn about his greatness as a player. I want to tell you about him as a man. He is a great man. Is he always right? No. Does he always say the right thing? No, he does not. Was it wise for him to sit up there and indicate that his son will be, he ain't gonna be someplace where his son ain't gonna be someplace where he doesn't want him to be before the NFL draft? No, that was not wise. But what he's meant to the NFL, what he's meant to professional athletes, as young men on the come up, and the lives that he has touched along the way, and how much better he has assisted in helping the NFL become because of it. He deserved better than this. Shedeur Sanders, in my opinion, was targeted because primetime Deion Sanders was targeted. He'll be all right because he has a strong faith in God, just like primetime Deion Sanders, his daddy, has taught him to have. But I'm speaking to all of y'all out there as a man who knows primetime Deion Sanders, who's a friend of Deion Sanders, who Deion Sanders has reached out and touched and imparted words of wisdom and support and strong love at times, tough love at times, with yours truly. He is a great man. What happened to Shedeur Sanders, in part, not totally, but in part, was a direct assault on Deion Sanders. He did not deserve this. His son didn't deserve it. His play didn't deserve this. His production didn't deserve this. His projected skill set didn't deserve this. His accomplishment didn't deserve this. And his pedigree didn't deserve it. Because say what you will about Deion Sanders, he has never taken from the game. He has only given to it. And for Shedeur Sanders to be treated like this, I found myself so sad. It's America at its worst. It's the powers that be showing you that old adage that I ripped from Mission Impossible #1, when they were looking for Tom Cruise's character Ethan Hunt, and they turned around and said, this ain't complicated. You find their soft spot and you squeeze. You can't touch primetime Deion Sanders. You can't shake his confidence, his innate belief in himself and what he's doing and how to go about doing it. So to rattle him, you targeted his son. That is my opinion. But when 32 teams select to pass on a quarterback that was projected as a top 2 quarterback in the entire draft for nearly 5 complete rounds, that ain't about football. That's about something.
Say that, I think of Shedeur Sanders, weirdly, with everything that's just happened.
Yeah.
Him following the footsteps of Deion, which seems almost insurmountable.
Right.
I don't want to really talk about the past and what happened, but if you were to be able to talk to Shedeur, I don't know if you have, what would you tell him as he tries to win this job?
I think I would tell him you understand the things that you might have done wrong or did right throughout the process, the pre-draft process. But now you're drafted, you're in an organization, you've got a chance to go in there and make a name for yourself. And it's how you go about doing it, it's how you attack it.
There's nobody there that's solidified in that job at quarterback right now. Joe Flacco's in his 40s. We don't know what he has. Dylan, the kid from Oregon, he's a rookie.
Gabriel, Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, none of those guys have done anything in this league so far. So I think the job is wide open for Shedeur. All he has to do is go in there, put his head down to the grindstone and go after it and be the player that he's been the last few stops he's been at. So it's all in front of him. It's just the only thing that's affected him now is he's not a first-round draft pick, so it's the amount of bonus money he gets. Otherwise, he's still on the football team, and he has just as good a chance as anybody else on that team to make it.
Well, you know about playing with a chip on your shoulder. I imagine he'll have a pretty good one. Do you think, what are the chances he, in your opinion, who's the starter week 1 for the Browns?
Well, that's what I say. You use this as fuel, and this is good fuel for you to just go in there and show what people don't think you can do. I don't know who the first day starter is going to be. A lot of it's going to have to do with how all these guys play in the preseason, because that's what coaches look at. How do you play when the lights are on? So there's only 3 preseason games now, so you don't have as much of an opportunity to get out there and show what you can do, but you got to make the most. If you only get 5 plays, you make those 5 plays really 5 good plays.
There are some CFL rumors. That's how you started your
Yes,
career.
it is.
You were in the CFL until you were 28 years old. Do you think that would be the right or wrong move for him?
I think he's fine right where he is. I think he's an NFL player. I think a lot of teams looked at him that way, but because of other circumstances, it didn't happen as far as being drafted high enough. Tom Brady was a 6th-round draft pick.
Yes.
We look at what happened to him. So I wasn't drafted at all. You look at what happened to me. So it doesn't matter where you're drafted. It's how you handle it once you're drafted or once you get inside the NFL camp.
And then as dads, like you have your son Reich and like Deion, it's an interesting role because you have to be very almost tempered. You have to be very disciplined in how you handle that.
Well,
as the dad.
As a dad, probably an all-time great at that position, is a whole different mindset when you play corner compared to playing quarterback.
And he lets you know it. Atlanta Falcons first-round choice, Deion Sanders, cornerback, Florida State.
I was kind of scared. I thought Detroit was going to take me. I would ask for so much money that I had to put me on layaway. I would prepare my statements before the game even started because I know I was going to have a good game.
What time is it? Showtime, primetime.
He had on the EK glasses with the snake skin on the top. He had on the primetime jogging suit. He had on a bunch of gold. He had the curl going. He looked like a rapper. Him standing next to MC Hammer. Shit, you might have thought MC Hammer was the manager and Deion was the rapper.
He's high-stepping from the 35-yard line.
Generational talent. I'm approving, right? Nah, you generational, I'm legendary.
That's cool. You can be legendary. Legendary get their generational is once every 100 years.
Whoa. I'm tired of them comparisons, bro.
They don't make no comparison to me. I'm in my own category.
Why would you think I care what they say?
You do, though.
You ain't been crucified yet. Your time is coming.
They said I quit on my team when I did it. Say I'm generational talent. I'm approving, right?
Fans, teammates, coaches, friends, the show has just begun.
Oh, here he goes. Kiss him goodbye, baby. Time to boogie in the end zone.
When you look up the word corner in the dictionary, you should see my picture.
Primetime always been cool as hell.
Nobody had the kind of swagger that Deion Sanders had.
This is my house, and this will always be my house.
Some things can't be taught, and that's one of them.
Deion Sanders made great athletes look average.
He was frank.
The greatest athlete I've ever been around.
He is the most exciting player I've seen.
He is the best that ever played this game.
He's great. He's sensational.
Deion, in my opinion, probably the best corner ever been on a college football field. From the moment he came into our camp, it's very obvious there's something special about this guy.
Deion Sanders from the 24 in the middle, twists his way, finds an alley. Now it's just the Clarion outrun it. It's going to be a touchdown, Florida State. Deion Sanders. Favre rolling and throwing under pressure, and it's intercepted. Deion, he may score right away. It is Sanders for the touchdown.
Atlanta Falcons first-round choice, Deion Sanders, cornerback, Florida State.
There is an anticipation of arrival. In the midst of passengers wearing Brooks Brothers gray suits, there is this. Primetime.
I went to Atlanta, and when I got there, I was amazed. I saw black folks in prominent places, and it blew my mind.
driving nice cars and one getting pulled over for nonsense. So I had in my mind, this is where I want to be.
I was kind of scared. I thought Detroit was going to take me. I would have asked for so much money that I had to put me on layaway.
And they'll kick it away just outside his spine. This is a beauty. And Sanders retreats back to the 32. Drops the ball again.
Deion Sanders told us yesterday that for every touchdown he gets on a punt return, he will give the blocking people 3 choices: a Gucci watch, a bunch of money, or a gold chain. Right now, he just forked up about $5 grand of that bonus money he got yesterday.
You know what? He can afford it.